Greetings and happy summer solstice. Today is the day where the sun's energy is the most accentuated out of the year. It's the longest day of the year, and it's kind of the quintessential day of summer. So today the energy would be considered very yang. We live sort of in a dualistic existence where it's things are sort of always a combination of yin and yang energy. Um, which means there's the masculine and there's the feminine, the dark and the light, the cold and the hot, etc. So, of course, the most obvious forces that we have that represent those energies would be the sun and the moon as celestial bodies. So, today is a day, like I said, of very masculine and yang energy because the sun is so vibrant today. And so today's a great day to talk about crystal wands, which is going to be the subject today. Crystal wands, I tried to think of like a good definition. A crystal wand would be any crystal that's formed in such a way that it's significantly longer than it is any other dimension. So it's long and it's narrow, and usually will come to a termination on one end only, meaning that it comes to a point on one end, it's pointier on one end than the other. But I also have this that I would consider a wand. It's selenite, and this is more tabular. As you can see, it's kind of like the same width as the top and the bottom. So a wand is just any piece that you use to work with energy, really, that's much longer than it is wide, and that indicates the direction of energy. That's the way that the energy is moving through it. So why do I say that on a day where the energy is very masculine, it's great to work with a wand? Well, wands are a very masculine tool because they are phallic. Actually, one of my guides told me that if you want to know how to work with a wand, then you have to think like a penis. And I know that sounds strange, but wands physically represent the male sexual organ. That's kind of the best, easiest way to describe the way that they function energetically. So in general, when we're talking about wands, like I said, there's going to be one end of it that the energy is coming out of, and there's going to be one end of it that the energy is going into or being fed into. So in that way, a wand is very much like a penis. And because a crystal wand would generally be something that we work with as a healing tool, of course, or a manifestation tool, or just an energetic tool in general, it can teach us a lot too about the divine masculine, as it's called, or the overall like universal masculine energy. So we'll get into that. But so in general, I'm going to show you a few of my wands. This is sort of like my signature quintessential wand. This is selenite. And selenite's mostly found in Mexico. It's one of the most powerful crystals on the planet right now. It's a planet that accelerates the new consciousness that's coming up on our planet. And it's a lot of times crystals will be associated with different chakras or different like layers of the energetic field, and selenite is particularly attuned to the chakras above the head, and it helps bring in really high vibrational energy to the physical plane. So this is a wand that I really love and I work with a lot. Obviously you can see this is a really big wand. And I actually have introduced you guys to this one before. This is like a smaller one that could still be considered a wand, even though it's not that thin or long, but still dimensionally it's longer than it is any other dimension. And that one, and then I have a few different sizes of selenite wands as well that I will work with. I'll get into it, but they're sort of like assisting. And today I'm also mostly going to be talking about this one. This is a Lemurian laser wand. And when I say laser wand, that means it comes to a really fine point. So this one comes to that really nice fine point. So let's talk about energetics in relation to physical dimensionality. Um, so for instance, when you're looking at this piece particularly, as I mentioned, you can see that it starts at a certain width and gets much more narrow near the peak. So first of all, crystals, as an energetic tool, although I've explained that they're beings and we don't look at them as objects and we don't use them, we work with them. I'm just using that terminology just to make it less cumbersome to discuss. So just understand when I say that I'm not objectifying, my partners, my healing partners. Um, so crystals in general, if you were to look at them on a molecular level, are extremely complex and extremely perfect. They on a molecular level, they're very organized, and they grow in different patterns depending on the type of mineral or crystal that they are. So when we talk about sacred geometry, when we talk about the tetrahedron, the icosahedron, the Star of David, the cube, all those different shapes. Those are shapes that are represented in the building blocks of crystals if you were to look at them on a microscopic level. So that's very important to know when we're using these, because any energy that we pass through a crystal into another medium or into a person or into a space, it's going to be magnified, it's going to be perfected, and it's going to be organized. So let's say that I'm having, I'm meditating and I'm conjuring up a certain frequency. Let's say I'm trying to do a healing for someone who is sick. So I'm visualizing them well, and I'm really conjuring up that wellness energy and that healing energy, and I'm passing it through, through me, through my thoughts, through my energy, through my heart, and I'm turning that thought energy into that etheric energy. I'm passing it through my hand and into the wand, and then out to the person, let's say. The energy that I already conjured up, or that I was already working with for that person, was very powerful energy. Thoughts are very powerful energy, and they have physical matter. They have physical dimensionality. We just generally can't perceive it because it's too fine. But either way, the thoughts pass through the crystal and they change because, like I said, the molecular structure of the crystal is going to extremely refine those thoughts. Let's say if there's any disorganization or lack of focus in my thoughts, or imperfection in my thoughts, one could say, when they pass through the perfected molecular structure of the crystal, they're going to be perfected and they're going to be magnified. Because, like I said, the nature of sacred geometry is magnification. When you look at anything that forms in nature, whether it be a human embryo developing from dividing cells, or when you look at the shapes of, the patterns on the leaf of a plant, or the shell that a snail's in, or the way energy moves, anything like that, it's always in a perfect geometrical pattern. And in that way, things that are aligned perfectly geometrically are very exponential in the way that they grow because they're perfect. So at no point will that energy stop itself. At no point will that energy be distorted and confined or segmented, or at no point will it have to end. And that's why the infinite energy of the universe is so beautifully reflected in geometry. So I just want you to have that understanding, because when you're working with crystals in general, and especially a powerful ally like a crystal wand, which is very powerful, be careful with it. That's what you're working with. You are literally, this is an instrument, like our body is an instrument, or like a penis is an instrument. And when energy passes through this, it is being transformed as it moves, and it's being magnified. So that's what we're mostly going to be doing with a wand. And it's also going to focus it. Like I said, because this, especially this, being that it's a laser wand, it comes to a really severe point. Like, imagine me the size that I am, or let's say if I'm using one of my chakras. Let's say if I'm using my heart chakra, and I'm creating a sphere or a field of energy to try to use for healing, okay? Let's say my chakra is about this big. in general, okay? Let's say it's about that big, and then the energy field coming from it locally is like about that big. That's pretty big. You know what I mean? That's pretty big. And who knows how my chakra might be spinning. Maybe it's a little bit off. Maybe something hurt my feelings, or I experience fear, or I need to release trauma, or, whatever. So the chakra's not spinning in optimum, perfection. Okay. Well, let's say I'm conjuring up some energy in this area. It's kind of a big energy field. And I get the energy kind of where I need it to be, and I start letting that energy, I feel it, etherically, and I'm meditating, I'm visualizing, and I'm feeling that energy go through my arm, and I'm directing it out through the wand. It could have been a very big or disorganized or, something like that, like not refined, not focused, the energy somewhere in between. But once it goes through here, like I said, perfected, magnified, and focused. So this particular one, or any wand, you could use it to direct energy in a very specific location. So these are tools that would be used a lot for surgery on non-physical levels. So if somebody has a distortion in any level of their energetic field, whether it be close to the body or really far out, maybe it could be karmic, maybe it could be trauma from really early in childhood, or maybe they have had physical surgery or injuries and they're storing those patterns in one of the layers of their energy field. Something like this that's really, really clear and really sharp and really focused is a beautiful tool to do that kind of specific, delicate work. You can really do delicate work with a wand. Something else that my guide shared with me, I'm not able to channel clearly very often at this point. It's a skill that I'm still working on. But I was going through a period where I kind of had a pretty clear connection, and that's when I got the message about using the wand. I actually wish I had my journal out so I could read it, but essentially what came through was, if you want to know how to use a wand, then you have to start thinking like a penis. But what is really lacking on our planet, and what's really lacking in our culture, is the connection of the heart to the sexual organs, or the connection of the heart to everything. So when you have something like this that's outward, and it's almost like projectile, it's very powerful. Just as, the male sexuality is, but it's misused a lot. And essentially kind of what my guide was telling me is that the most profound work that you can do with a wand, which is a very masculine tool because it's an outward projection of energy, is to always pass love through it. And, I would recommend that anytime you're working with a wand of any size, shape, type, or any kind of work, that you really connect to your heart center. And the easiest way that I think to connect to a heart center, to your heart center, is to get into a place where you can connect to a feeling you have about a person that you love unconditionally. So whether it be your child or your partner or your parent or a sibling or an old friend or a pet, but just somebody that you have that like unconditional love for, where sometimes if you think about it, it can almost make you cry, like that flowering feeling that you kind of get in this area when you think about a certain person. That's the energy that you want to send through this. So I want you to imagine that, okay? We have this wonderful being, this crystal wand, and it's agreed to work with us. And what we can do with this is any energy we want, any color, any temperature, any frequency, any intention, anything. We can let it come through us into the base of the crystal. It will pass through, I don't know, millions of molecules that are in a perfect geometric form, through all that clarity and light, and it will get finer and finer and more refined and more perfect and more magnified and brighter and higher frequency. And as it comes through that tip, that energy you originally started with, do you understand how much this wonderful being is doing, it's unbelievable. So I'm trying to think of an analogy that will express the potency of such work. Um, it's kind of like a bank account that collects interest. Like, let's say you had a bank that was like, for every $10 you put in, we'll give you 100. That would never happen, but that's what crystals do. It's like, just put a little bit of a good frequency in here, and I'll give you a fortune. That's literally the kind of riches that you have at your fingertips. So that's a little bit of how to work with them. I'm going to give one example before my little one wakes up. So this water, and actually I'm going to start incorporating some videos about how to do energy work with water and make energy waters. But I'm going to be quick, like I said, before the little one wakes up. This water, actually, I started a year ago today, because last year on the solstice, the same weekend that the solstice occurred, a few days later was not only a full moon, but a super moon. So it was a really amazing weekend because we got that balance of the male and female energies, and I decided to make a water where I attuned it to the sun, the solstice sun, and the supermoon. So this is some really crazy water, and like I said, I've been working on it for a year. I'm still working on it. I'm going to do some more work on it today. So that's actually the exercise I'm going to suggest for today. Is get some clean water. Please let it be spring water. If it has to be filtered or tap water, it's going to need some extra work, but we'll get into that, and that's okay. Put it in a clean glass container, because you may want to work on it beyond today, or maybe you just want to work on it today, and that's okay. And this is going to be my example of how you can work with a wand. So make sure that the crystal has been purified as well, like physically cleaned. It doesn't have like scum on it, and also that it's been cleansed maybe in like salt water or in the sun or in the moon or something like that, just that the energy is really nice and clean. And I'm not outside, so I can't really exactly show you what I'm talking about, but you'll catch the message. So basically, I'm going to go outside in a little bit while the sun is still high, and I'm going to basically place the tip of the crystal directly into the water. And while I'm holding it, I'm just going to kind of let that strong solstice sun sink into me, like on a cellular level, and feel that nice, like, buzzing solar energy, and really have a moment of gratefulness towards the sun and the summer and that masculine universal energy. And I'm going to allow that energy to come through my body, through the top of the crown of my head, and then, through my right arm and my heart center. And I can actually feel that energy in my hand now. And to go through the crystal into the water. And you can also leave the water out in the sun for a while. And that is just one example of how to work with a wand. We'll do more later. But, yeah, so that's mostly what I wanted to say about a wand. I also wanted to just say be careful. Don't be just flinging them around, because they're serious business. I've gotten myself in some pretty interesting experiences on the other side with wands, not really knowing what I was doing, and I don't regret it, but I wasn't really prepared at the time, and I was just kind of experimenting actually with a selenite wand, a different selenite wand, and ended up having a pretty profound experience. So don't underestimate the power of a wand because of the things I explained, the way that it will process and magnify energy. Be careful what you're putting into it, and be very intentional. Intention is everything. Be very intentional. If your intention is that I want to send love through my body and through this wand to a person I love, or I want to send love through the wand to my pet or to my plant or whatever, great. And be clear about that intention. And the more intentional that we are with the things that we're working with, and the more appreciation we have for them and respect that we have for them, the more we allow ourselves to step out of our own way and allow that power to come through for healing and for profoundly expansive experiences, and so much more. So anyway, that was just a quick little video about crystal wands, their energetic, so we talked about their energetic functionality and how they could be symbolically compared to the male sexual organ, and how their use and the work that we do with them is comparable as well in a spiritual way. And in that we discussed that wands are a masculine tool. They are in the yang end of things dualistically, and just that they're very powerful, and they process energy in such a way that they magnify, organize, and focus energy. So if you don't have one, go get one. Baby's starting to cry. I'm gonna go, but happy solstice, and please feel free to share comments like how you might use wands or work with them, or any cool rituals or celebrations that you're doing to celebrate the solstice today. So blessings.